An Australia without rugby league is not Australia. Rugby league has been a fabric of our society for hundreds of years. It's people's escape, it's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of rugby league.
It has been those Australians who have worked hard every day. They have their dreams, they have their aspirations. These are the quiet Australians who have won a great victory tonight.
Kris, Gail,
Stephen Ferris.
I would like to be a little bit raw, a little bit unfiltered, a little bit unpredictable.
Well.
But I'm going to do the bloody obvious and say, welcome back, Dennis Carnahan. Yay! Where have you been, Dennis?
Oh, I've been working down the mines, in the coalface.
What industry do you work in that allows you to work during these troubled times, Dennis?
Rugby league.
Rugby league.
Rugby league broadcasting.
Hence, that's why you're here now.
Yes.
Because there's no more as of last Monday.
No.
Dennis,
Yes.
this is uncharted waters.
Well, unpredictable.
Unpredictable.
No, please.
Unprecedented times. It's a 1 in 100 years event, I'd say.
You would say this is your calculations?
Yes.
You've done the risk assessment.
And I'd say, Dennis, now it's the new normal. So
Interesting.
Welcome back to this new normal.
But then there's going to be, we're currently in the pre-apocalyptic phase, like
Yes.
the dystopian future. We're in the prequel, like
Right.
the start of the movie.
First door.
We're in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Right.
It's about to go. No one knows what's going to happen at the end.
No.
It's entirely
Okay,
unpredictable.
so
And we're almost through this, aren't we? Isn't Trump saying we're back in the churches at Easter?
Easter, yeah, we get our eggs.
And by my calculation, that's about 2 weeks away.
Isn't Trump also saying that he's the biggest
We get our
expert
eggs.
in this thing as well? And
Yeah, so Dennis, so you had a job with rugby league for a period. No more work, correct?
well, there's still some bits and pieces to do. There's still a show to go.
Can I
but
say?
There's no
Can I
rugby
say that
league.
you're actually not hired by the rugby league, though, are you?
No, I'm not hired by the rugby
So
league.
therefore, your work may well be protected.
Possibly. I may be in that. Yeah,
I think Anthony Albanese came out to say wonderful work that I think the ABC has now been considered a service of necessity or emergency.
Essential service?
Essential
An
service.
essential
there
service.
we go.
Yeah. The
Dennis-
emergency broadcaster. See, that's the thing. I'm not part of the emergency broadcast
No,
segment
you're the
of
fluff
the
and
ABC.
bubble
I'm just
stuff,
the
aren't
fluff and
you?
bubbles, and they all hate me, and they're all picking over the carcass of sports and trying to get our
What can we
equipment
take from
and
him?
steal it.
Yeah. Hold your equipment, Dennis, and keep your secrets in right.
Oh,
But I just sorry to interrupt, but couldn't you get a job doing the sound on the live versions of well, they probably won't have the live versions now in the town halls of the Lee Sales Annabelle Crab, Chats 10 Looks 3 on the Diamantina Podcast Network.
They can't be on the town hall. They'll have to do it.
But surely their podcast would meet the definition of an essential service.
I think this one does. All podcasts would, I would have thought.
Yeah.
You'd think. Because podcasting is now more important than ever.
So, Dennis, I'm not going to use his phrase sound bore. You're a sound person, a technician with the ABC, recording... Engineer.
That's the official
Have
title,
you know?
sound engineer.
Recording the audio at the rugby league games during this most unusual
Not recording,
circumstance.
broadcasting it.
Broadcasting, of course.
it live to air.
But is it recorded?
Every game,
and
every week, ad-free and live.
He likes to pick over, doesn't he? Tell us what it was like, Dennis, because we weren't there. It's the only time we weren't allowed in, and we didn't even go to the Balmain and sit on top of the rooftop with a little Craig or whatever his name was.
Well, I wasn't prepared to get up on that scaffolding.
No.
I mean, it only spent about $900 on it, and that came out to about $40 per person.
The one that worried me was the people sitting on the gable of the roof. There was 3 people just sitting up there. I was looking at that going, if you're cleaning your gutters, you're meant to have a harness.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there in their Tigers jerseys feeling much like the evangelical TV pastors in the US, that they'll be protected by the Tigers jersey. They're not going to fall off the roof. They didn't.
Uncharted, Dennis. Yeah. So you were there producing a broadcast for the ABC.
Yes.
And there was nobody in the audience. Tell us about your experience. Walk us through it.
So I've
Walk in the
my
door.
saddest part was that I couldn't go to the empty AFL because I did empty cricket, 4 games of empty league. I would have loved to have done empty cricket, empty league, and empty AFL. Had the whole thing.
On your CV.
The empty cricket, I should start with that. The empty cricket was fantastic
Yeah.
because There was one moment in there which I wish I'd had recorded where the commentator, Brett Sprigg, we had the windows open. Now, Fox Sports has said,
Oh,
guys...
that's a
Nice,
mistake.
yeah.
No,
Come on,
we always have them open because Jim Maxwell...
You've not heard of the COVID-20 thing? I mean,
Jim Maxwell, try and tell Jim Maxwell to do something, and he won't.
Ah.
He's a mad Rabbitohs fan. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Oh, he's a dreadful Rabbitohs fan.
Dreadful.
Him and his wife. But they, Fox Sports said, could you close your windows because Jim's kind of loud and he's coming in our effects mics. And he's like, I'm at the cricket. I'm not closing my window. And so he didn't. There was a moment in commentary where Brett Sprigg was commentating and the ball has slapped de Grandhomme's glove and gone to the keeper, and they haven't appealed. They've gone, yeah, because it was out. Now, we had all these sound effects on field. It was so clear. It was fantastic. It was a sound bore's dream because you could hear everything so clearly.
Damn those people for getting in the road.
Damn that audience. But Brett Sprigg, they saw the replay, and he was outraged that it wasn't given out. It's like, that hasn't nudged the glove. That's smacked into the glove and ballooned to the keeper's hand. That's out. Rasmus has just got that wrong. At which point, Josh Hazelwood turns and looks at the commentary booth, holds his hand up and taps his glove, saying, yeah, it was off his glove. And then Brett Sprigg has just gone, sort of watch and it turns out the players can hear what I'm saying.
Me now.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, as you
I
were.
heard this was a phenomenon at the league games as well, is that the sonorous voices of some of the commentators, a la your Andrew Moores and Luke Lewis's, could be heard out on the pitch.
They could be heard across the other side of the field. There was one of the coaches came back and said
Whereas
that.
a number of the networks, and I'm looking at Channel 9 here, opted to call it off the monitor.
Stay at home. Off tube, they call it.
And
Off tube.
And
Off tube.
The great Warren, who we might talk about a little bit later, but he had never called a game off a
Off
monitor.
tube.
Off
No.
tube, sorry.
Is that right?
Never.
Yeah,
And he-
a
and he
lot
Oh,
of
was-
them have.
unusual. Yeah.
And he was worried about the experience.
Yeah, well, there was no crowd noise for Ray. But
Well, crowd noise wasn't... Were you at any of the games where they actually pumped in the...
yes, I was. And it was
whereabouts?
just stupid.
They didn't pump in crowd noises, did they? Just music.
No, they pumped in crowd noise.
Crowd noise
They
as
tried
well.
it the first night. The first empty game was the Bulldogs, and
Yeah.
they tried to put crowd
And
noise
this
in.
is purely for the footy players themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just silly.
Well, that's an alien experience, because I went to the corresponding fixture last year, Bulldogs versus North Queensland Cowboys.
And they
there
didn't
was,
pump it in.
There was no one there, right, last year. So, I mean, that would have really thrown the players. But there was music, right?
There was. And the music at the Olympic Stadium, it wasn't so bad because it's a big stadium.
Just rattles around.
It just rattles around. And it was fun. So the Olympic Stadium, I didn't... Oh, no, I did. We weren't allowed to interview the players. We weren't allowed to get a mic near their face. We had to be, at all times, a metre and a half away. So for the post-game interviews, we took a long throw microphone, set it up on a boom with, to point at the player's mouth to do the interview. And that worked okay at the Olympic Stadium. But when we got to Cogra, it became a problem because the DJ was so loud. And the DJ was apparently there, ordered by the home coach, to play music to pump the players up.
Cronulla.
The first game was the Dragons.
At Cogra.
Yes, but
No.
Yeah, the Dragons
V-
played. The
V
Dragons
Penrith.
played on Saturday, on Friday,
Oh.
and Cronulla played on the
Saturday.
Saturday. Now Cronulla was
I thought it was Penrith's home game on this.
no, that was week one was Penrith Roosters,
was it?
and that was
It just
glorious.
shows how you
You would have switched
are
off.
so traumatized.
Disconnected.
You're so traumatized you didn't realise your team was playing at home.
They lost. You know,
Yeah,
so
just.
it's not traumatising. You should be
Just.
Blew a
you
10-point
should be
lead.
feel
Yeah, now it's all coming back to me. All right, guys, I get it. The pain. Yeah.
Oh, the pain, the pain.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah. It was a good game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean
but
that
we're-
forward pass. Come on now.
But we're
That wasn't
trying to
forward, was it?
We were trying to interview after the game
Get him
Viliami
onside,
Kikau. Now, Viliami Kikau is an enormous man
Yeah.
and has an inverse proportionality with his size and his voice.
General Giant, they call him.
I call that the blocker principle, because
it?
you never expect blocker's voice
No, to
to
be-
come out of that body.
No,
would you?
no.
Now, it's interesting. I wonder who the DJ was, because our old mate Andrew Rose.
Has been complaining.
So
I've read the whinges and
No,
love
What's he
you,
complaining
Rosie.
about?
Not being able to get work, and I can't even give him a hug. Because I know he values that.
Did
enormous.
you want to?
Rosie,
Did you want
hugs.
to?
Oh yeah.
and he was furious when he was informed by the Roosters that he wasn't required. Not because he wasn't required, because they hadn't confirmed that he was going to be the DJ this season, you know. And so I wonder if it was the regular DJ, because I remember listening to one of the games this last weekend, and at the 15-minute mark they were playing David Bowie's Heroes. And And Stephen, you're more versed in these matters than I am, but surely custom dictates that is one of the songs that is only played off the back of "We Are the Champions" by Queen, having secured the Proven Summons
the
trophy.
premiership or something grand and big. You don't play a regular game.
We don't play We Can Be Heroes 15 minutes in.
No, you do
It
not.
wasn't was it the Raiders Warriors game?
That sounds right. It was the Raiders Warriors game.
And I think that it was
how inappropriate with those two teams playing. I was for the Warriors. Was
a dip
it?
to the Warriors for staying in
What
Australia
was the
to
moment
keep
they
For going to
played
Kingscliff.
What was the moment they played the song?
15 minutes in.
And from
6
then
tackles
on.
again or something.
And from then on,
It was a dropout.
Well, I have noticed, I think it was even the one-day cricket, that whoever was the DJ, that they often hit a song and obviously plays and they pull the volume down and they just bring it up again.
yeah.
Oh, I'll bring it up
Laziness.
again.
Same song. Yeah.
You hate laziness in a
What-
DJ.
Laziness.
How's it
Yeah,
heroic?
think it through.
How's it heroic? Because I believe
Fast.
we didn't talk about this last week, Stephen. That you said the world's greatest beach is near Kingscliff, which is where the Warriors were ensconced.
Yes, we keep looking it up and forgetting the name of that beach, don't we?
Is it Kingston?
No, it's not.
Cabarita?
Cabarita. That's the one. Voted number one beach in New South Wales.
Wow.
Yeah, much of the
Didn't do
Well,
many
you
good.
heard Ricky Stewart's comment about it. Oh, I wouldn't mind going up to Kingscliff for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Ricky Stewart has refused to join the Coaches Association, I hate to point out.
I'd like to go to a comedy club. Ricky Stewart and Paul Kent. What do you reckon? On stage at the one time.
Oh, Ricky Stewart, no, Ricky's got a great sense of humour.
You'd cuddle him too, wouldn't you?
Oh, right now I would. There'd be protocols. I'd give him a hug for sure.
One of the innovations that Fox came up with in covering the empty stadiums, and I was actually involved in an empty arena call in our wrestling promotion, PWA, with said Andrew Rose and the Lucha Libre wrestler Big Fudge. Absolutely
yes.
magnificent. And throughout the event, he actually gave sanitary tips in his pink lucha mask, which has a Mars bar coming out of it. His confectionery theme. So you're looking for
It
differences.
sounds appropriate, but not.
Yeah.
It's confectionary themed wrestler.
Yeah, his entrance music is the Mr. Whippy theme. Yeah.
Lovely. Love that.
And so we were looking for
Green sleeves?
Well, it's actually sort of it's actually one of those different. It's like an American sound because it's from America, I think. So you're looking for differences. So Fox League decided we'll go into the homes of fans, right? And we're always told that this is a widely popular game. The Tigers Knights game, the Tiger fan was Big T, who's been on Fire Up.
Yeah.
Okay, and he was at the Like Up Bowling Club, I think, with his mate Hugo.
Which was still open, yep.
Yep.
Is it?
And then
It was then.
And then the Parramatta Titans game was Mary Constantopoulos, aka Mary Kay of Ladies Who League fame, again, who's been on Fire Up. So the league church is not as broad as I thought. But the one thing I think they couldn't show on the Fox coverage was some Titans fans at home enjoying the coverage, because I don't think there is such
If
thing.
Because
there
they
is
were
a-
all at the stadium.
That's
If
right.
there
As
is a
in
league,
empty.
a league
Yep.
church boys, who was the Pope?
Gus.
Gus. Would you say Ray Warren might fit that role? Nearly.
He'd be a cardinal.
I mean, you wouldn't put Vlanders as one of the sort of the.
No, Verlander sits above the Pope.
Volandis is one of those guys, you know, in those, like, Name of the Rose, who's a monk or something plotting for the assassination
bring him
of the
down.
Pope.
That's right. Yeah. Who's playing Sean Connery's role?
Well, Greenberg.
Todd.
Greenberg.
Of course,
With the
yeah.
beard and
Yeah.
the hair.
And what are we, just mere monks?
I mean,
And we just strap ourselves and put things, you know, around our thighs to feel the pain
Hair
of
shirts.
Christ. Yeah.
I love it. I love a good hair shirt in the morning. And I want to apologise for this joke in advance. But when they were talking about cutting the players' salaries and the current figure being bandied around as 87%.
Where did we start that, Chris?
Yeah. Well, originally in the zero.
Yeah.
Joey
Again, that's
Leilua.
right. And the missus was okay.
Mortgage paid.
The missus was
Yeah.
okay. The AFL came
Bank
in.
manager, okay.
The AFL came at 50. Well, Volander's gone hard at 87.
Hard.
And then Greenberg's backed him up and said, all executives will have to take a haircut. Well, in Todd's case, that's a bit difficult, isn't it? But anyway.
But they
You
can
see-
get to a barber. That's the thing. That's
Yes.
why he said a haircut.
And
They're
for
not going to
more-
get their nails
more for
done.
half
They're not
an
going to
hour.
get the... Yeah, they...
Peter, though, still got his salary from racing in New South Wales, so he's okay.
But they're still racing.
They're still racing.
They're still racing.
Yeah, so he's entitled to full pay.
And this might come up a little bit later in the show. They're still golfing, apparently.
Yeah.
Social distance.
Okay, let's have a break, shall we, guys?
Why not?
Wonderful.
Well, that's why I introduced Orbo to his wife. We were sitting at a pub after a game, and young Laura came over and she was looking at the fellas. I said, "That's your one right there, Mitch Orbo. He's your man. Not only can he play, he's a great fella. He's everything you want."
Chris, as we may have touched upon off air, Peter Volandis, perhaps a man who was on the front foot proactive and now is perhaps reacting and pulling back a little bit courtesy of the decision to no play anymore. But what is the next solution, options, etc.? And we're talking about a place to take the players to.
Yes. So there's a couple of issues here. First of all, I want to remind everyone we're on Fire Up's Quiet Australia, Stephen. And if you go outside right now, it's pretty quiet. Second thing is, I'm prepared to take you on, Dennis.
Okay, sure.
It's Lord Volandis. It's not the Count. That's Anthony Minicello. Always is, always will be.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
It's been taken, all right?
Yeah.
Now, it's true. He does look a little bit like...
He needs a cape. He's a cape short of being the Count.
And you're talking Lugosi Dracula there, aren't you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not
He's got deep pockets.
Yeah, not the beautiful Warhol.
not Gary
one.
Oldman.
No, Gary Oldman, though. I don't like it when he changes. Hate that.
Who was the guy from Diary of a Mad Housewife? Frank Langella. Frank
Langella, yeah.
He was a sexy
He's
Dracula.
Bit heavy set, I thought.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was Sir Peter Cushing, was it?
No, he was always Van Helsing, and it was
Helsing.
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, of
And,
course,
and
yes.
is there anyone more iconic than Max Schreck as Nosferatu?
Oh, Max Schreck.
Well, can you imagine though, Volandis going, okay, there's going to be 0, there's going to be 15%, there's going to be 50%, there's going to be 87%.
Sucking on the blood of something. The carcass of rugby league. Chris, what's it looking like?
So Lord Volandis is vulture-like, picking at the carcass of rugby league, which I think we established on Fire Up this morning, Stephen, which is on FBI Radio 94.5 FM on your Sydney radio dial, approximately 9:20 a.m. each Friday morning while the season is on, which I can't say anymore because the season's not on at the moment. But if it's suspended, that's probably good enough. We'll try and keep going if we can. But for Volandis, rugby league will be going for a song. I think we've established Rupert Murdoch has set this whole pandemic up.
Depends on what song you're talking about. Yesterday might be expensive to get, I'd say.
Have you ever been to a distressed asset sale? Well, let me tell you, rugby league is a distressed asset right now.
Right.
So, but Volandis is looking for any pockets of money he can come up with because, as we know, the NRL has been living hand to mouth. Play a game, get paid. Don't play a game, get zip. So he's actually approached Greek cloth cap in hand, I guess we would say, to Gladys Berejiklian and said, Gladys, we need Allianz. I think that's a given. I mean, Fitzsimon's idea that we turn it into a park is ridiculous.
Football stadium.
Yeah, sorry.
The Sydney Football Stadium.
Yes, yeah, Allianz.
Fitzsimon's ridiculous, right?
Totally ridiculous. But in what becomes, I can only describe as an unholy alliance of thinking between Volandis and Fitzsimons, the money allocated for the refurb of ANZ Stadium,
The Olympic Stadium. Well,
should be,
or is it Telstra Stadium? Or is it Stadium Australia? And let's just stick for one name for the stadium. Let's call it the Olympic Stadium.
Olympic Stadium. We like
so
that.
easy.
Give it a bit of gravitas.
it should be called Kathy's Place.
Kathy's Place. I was there.
I was there.
I like it. Yeah.
Were you there, Dennis?
Not for Kathy.
I was in tears. Were you in tears?
Oh, my goodness.
Man, Andrews is getting better.
Greatest. Talking about the blackest day in Australian sport. That was the greatest night in Australian sport.
Absolutely.
I was watching on TV, and when she was there going, Flames stopped, the thing's not going. That was a long
There's a
12 seconds.
nice pause, I thought. Suspenseful, but pause. Yeah.
I was there for that. That was.
I was in New York for that.
Yeah.
I was going, that's taking a while.
Oh, so you weren't there?
No, for the
opening
race.
night?
I came back for the race. Oh, you had to fly back for the
Sorry,
race.
I thought you were talking about the opening night.
No,
Right,
the opening night.
The race,
Yeah,
Kathy's Place.
But some $500 million has been
Yes.
allocated for the refurb of Kathy's Place.
Right.
And Volandis has gone to Gladys and said, we're prepared to stick with the non-rectangular format of Kathy's Place if some of that money can be directed to rugby league. Now, he's actually formed and joined an alliance called COMPS.
Yeah.
Have you heard about COMPS?
The Coalition of
Comps.
Major Professional Participation Sports, Chris.
Right. Now, NRL's in there. Who are the other members?
AFL?
Netball?
No.
Be top shelf stuff, wouldn't it? Not rugby.
A-League?
Not rugby union.
No.
Do they still have A-League? No.
Anybody?
Rugby
I
union?
think we've got hurling in there,
Hurling!
What are we hurling?
table tennis,
Yes, okay.
and in a nod to the future, esports. Because while every other sport is off, except for golfing and racing, esports just continues
What
unabated.
about golf cart racing?
There's a sport.
Hello.
Are they part of the comps?
Colour coded, the whole bit, So,
The other thing that we should say about Kathy's Place,
Yep.
right, is that in terms of that precinct,
yes.
the idea that was to take this game, this great game of ours, to Calliope, there was the great Andrew Voss who actually came up with an alternative plan as to where rugby league should have been played.
Right.
Can we get it simpler? We have out at the Olympic Park precinct 3 hotels whose entrance is 100 metres apart, all 3. They have a total of 545 rooms without a person in them. Inside 500 metres from all of those hotels is a ground called ANZ Stadium and the showground, the New South Wales Rugby League Centre of Excellence, the Sydney Athletic Field. This could have become the Rugby League bubble. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. Could this possibly work? That right now the league tomorrow says, right, well, we are going to test everyone. And our quest is to bring the game to Sydney, the Sydney Olympic Park. As you test negative, into the bubble you go.
So there was Andrew Voss.
Look, I missed that.
Right.
Things you might have missed.
Right. So there was Andrew Voss on Controversy Corner.
Yeah. He
And
likes
by the
to stir
way,
the pot a bit, doesn't he?
I might be wrong in this, but I watched, they're now doing Fox League Live at the Matty Johns podcast studio. And Voss, who was hosting a show the other day with the Mal Meninga figure on the desk, we had it on last week. This is all very suspicious.
Hang on, I think that needs a bit of spray, doesn't it?
Hang on.
I do think
Give it a bit of polish
can I
too.
jump in?
Misplaced my
Sterlo
hand
sweating,
sanitizer.
look.
Can I jump in and say he's missed one thing there? Yes, there's hotels. Yes, there's the athletics warm-up track. There's the athletics track. There's plenty of places to go. But what he's missed, yes, hotels, whatever. There's only 500. Just around the corner is Silverwater Jail.
Yeah.
Now, they've let people out.
And that's got a fence already.
They've let people out of there because of parole, because of coronavirus. That's where you put them. Straight in there.
Dennis, that's genius.
Yeah.
It's
Genius.
perfect.
And a
Perfect.
cut-through hole to get into
And
the game.
You know what?
out
People,
again.
you're saying isolate them. I say don't. I say put cameras in every room.
Who do you-
Throw in a couple of
Hello?
hundred strippers. You've got League Island. You've got maths. You've got everything.
There'd be a concern also about the frogs. What would happen to the frogs because they've got that little haven there at Homebush. but what incenses me is that Vossi, I think if you listen to that audio, he's claimed that idea.
Oh, he's stolen it. Surely.
Controversy Corner went out Monday. The previous Friday on Fire Up's Quiet Australia, the very show that we're doing now, Stephen Ferris
What did Stephen Ferris say?
had this to say.
But we were discussing later than that, why not Homebush? You just wall it off, right? You get all those shonky buildings, empty them, where they're half empty now, put all of Rugby League in Homebush, they play at any stadium, you can play 3 games at once. Boom.
It's a pretty good
Lock 'em
idea.
down.
It's a pretty good idea.
Lock them down.
I mean, the same idea,
Yeah.
lock, stock and barrel, more succinctly put. Kudos to you, Stephen.
Not as theatrically put, though.
No.
Well,
He's got the voice, I think.
I think what's happened, though, is that Fox Sports has cut where Vossi looked down the camera and went, thanks to you, Stephen Ferris, for the idea.
Cut
Fire
that
up
out.
945.
Yes, he would have done that.
94.5
'Cause let's face it, not really
FM.
very many original ideas left in the world. We know that. It's all been
It's only
done.
12 notes in the universe.
Shakespeare, the Bible, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But look, we got to move fast because a lot of other great ideas I was thinking about are being taken. Rottnest Island.
Yes,
They're
that's
now
been
moving
done.
on that, yeah.
Yep.
Lord Howe.
Yes.
Quarantine can't get there.
Christmas. Yeah.
Too crowded already. There's about 8 already, I think.
Shark and Clark.
Shark. Yes. Look, if it's good enough for Tom Cruise to come down to Botany Bay and do Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible, did I say that?
Motion.
Have we got
Why
time
not
for,
Rugby League?
have we got time for me to tell my Mission Impossible 2 story?
Please.
So I used to have lease, mind you, an office right at the end of Darling Street in Balmain.
Yeah.
At the turning circle there at Thornton Park, where
Yeah.
the buses and the ferries and they all
And
come
where
together.
Malcolm Young used to walk his dog.
Absolutely. Number 10 Darling Street. And one day a woman walks into Dennis. tech nerd stuff.
I just noticed.
What's he laughing
we're,
at?
We're all on camera because the camera's seeing my
Oh, lovely.
thing. So we don't need this video. I can just, hey, I'm virtual.
Anyway.
Where were you, Chris?
Anyway, Dennis. A woman walks in and she goes, who do I need to talk to who's responsible for this building? I say, me. And she goes, look, this is a little bit left of centre, but I was with the director yesterday scouting locations for Mission Impossible 2, and he very much likes your building. Would you be interested in filming here? And if you actually go on to see Mission Impossible 2, it was set in Sydney. The Governor Phillip Tower had a biological weapons facility in the basement, which I think it still does. and I said, this is very interesting
Bill
to me.
Greg Scott was the bad guy, wasn't he?
Oh, it's stretching my memory.
Yes.
I said, who's the director? And she goes, John Woo. And I go, come on now, the hard boil, the killer, Face Off. She goes, you've heard of him? And I said, absolutely, I've heard of him. She goes, we are getting incredible tables in Chinese restaurants this week. And she said, would you be interested? I said, as long as I get
Different times.
Yeah, that's right. And she said, would you be interested in being a location for the movie? And I said, as only if I get a small speaking role. So
You did not.
So consequently, we weren't in the movie.
Deal breaker.
Rightio, we ready to fire up? I think we are.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Dennis. Good to have you
Hey,
back.
Stephen. Oh, it's great to be back.
Hey, one day I hope to get a hug from you too.
Oh, boy, Matt, when
One
this is
day.
all over, there'll be so many hugs.
And may your work continue, Dennis.
Well, plenty to do, plenty of admin.
Yeah, plenty.
Plenty of admin, OH&S, which I'm
I'm
supposed to
in
do.
a bit of admin for Vivid at the moment, wrapping up admin, you know.
yeah.
And forecasting, blue sky thinking for 2021.
Vivid's coming back.
Bigger
is it?
than ever. Of course it has to.
I keep hearing the new normal is things like the arts are gone.
No, Chris.
There's no federal arts department.
And
No, I know.
No,
Paul
and
Fletcher
Chris-
has it as a sub-department, I think.
we are under Treasury, Chris. We are protected.
Oh, this is New South Wales, right? So you're...
Is there a state arts department? Does Gladys have an arts department? Or is it in lockdown?
There are divisions, Create New South Wales and many others. Film, you know. Anyway, yes, we're very, very busy planning for the future. Very busy. It's like you expect the Easter show to come back next year, wouldn't you?
Not in the new normal.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, give up now.
We can't.
What about summer nats?
We're driving towards Resumption Day.
Resumption Day,
Which-
yes,
which-
beautiful. Have you
which-
got the T-shirts made yet?
That's right.
September 1.
And if we don't make 1 June, 1 July, or 1 August, it will be segueing with Doomsday. So we'll probably do the show on about the 15th of August. Is it Resumption Day or is it Doomsday? As Rugby League returns in part of the new normal.
Yeah. I hand it to you now, Chris.
Oh, you're going to hand it to me?
I am, yes.
Okay, there's a couple of issues that we want to cover that still relate to rugby league, and then we might open up the discussion a little bit. The first of these is the analysis of the club funding models going forward. So there's a real battle going on here. Are the players going to have a base salary share, or are they going to pro rata?
Sorry,
you've got to be interested in this. The current proposal is that the clubs that are struggling get bailed out more than the clubs that aren't.
Oh.
And the rich clubs have blown up deluxe about that.
Socialism.
Yeah.
Love that, Chris. You know what? One idea I've been thinking about, how come we're all in this together, but apart, and we're all supposed to sort of suffer the pain, you know, everyone's losing their job. There's a few that aren't, of course, we know that. But generally speaking, everybody's in this, you know, we're all struggling, staying at home, etc., including the moguls, the media moguls, the business moguls, the mining moguls. Why can't we just tax the buggers? 25% off the top. Gina Reinhardt, what's she worth? 16 bill?
I heard a great
Take
idea
4 bill?
the other day.
What do you reckon? Bring it back into the coffers.
I heard a great idea the other day that to abolish billionaires. Once you get to 999 million, the rest just goes to tax.
Love that
The whole
idea.
lot of it. So right
Dennis.
now, Rupert, just give all you can keep $1 billion, just
Yeah.
under.
Just
under.
Isn't that why Led Zeppelin lived in Switzerland?
Yeah, somebody will change, some bugger will go AWOL and change the rules.
That's right. Because see, the minute you do that,
The banks will step in.
it's all fine for moguls. Everybody hates moguls, but the minute you start tackling the artists like that, you know,
The artists.
Well, there's
are
no
somewhere-
artists anymore.
Who were, what? Paul McCartney might be.
let's be honest. There's probably no artist earning any money anymore.
No. Panama.
Yeah. So, Stephen, you'll be fascinated that the current model to bail out rugby league clubs will be standardised funding along with unequal bailout funding and cost reductions.
Unequal.
But what's it forced us to do is look at the funding models of the clubs. It's either leagues, clubs, or private ownership.
Right, and the leagues clubs have closed down, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So that's
Dried
going to
up.
put a hole
Pokies
into
are
it.
gone. Pokies are shut.
All gone.
Whereas private funding is probably pretty good unless you're the Penn family.
Hey, Tim Feet would be dancing down King Street, wouldn't he? Sorry.
All the unintended benefits.
Yeah, he is. Stoked.
Yeah, go on.
But it was revealed this week in terms of the Sharks and their financial model, because they've sold
Do
off
they
the
have
swamp and whatever, that they sold the airspace near the leagues club for $12 million.
Look, the Barracks did that. I
Yeah.
know about this in the city. You know, you've got an allocated space above you, and you can move it from one place to another as an abstract concept, obviously. So the Barracks, to refund their FURB for the 200-year anniversary or whatever it is, 250, sold off their airspace to another building that wanted to build higher.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Is that what it is?
Have they got valuable airspace at Cronulla? I'm asking
I think
the question.
what they're doing in Cronulla, they've sold the airspace to Blue Sky Mining, so you can actually go up there and suck up the fumes, and those fumes you can then use to fuel
Yeah.
spaceships
You want to
and
create a
things. 'cause
three-eyed
it's
fish? Come down
filthy.
here.
we had our Fire Up end of season dinner at the Prophet.
Did we?
Up in Cleveland Street, if
yeah.
you remember, the Lebanese restaurant.
Yeah.
And that's where all the power brokers, which will now include Law Volandis, Alan Jones,
Well, yeah, who's at the front of the,
Yeah.
the front of the table?
all the moguls come, and that's put on every year by the guy who sold the real estate for the undersea volcano. So you could buy a piece of the undersea volcano on the chance that the tectonic plates will shift and it will become habitable land. I think the Sharks are pulling a fairly similar
That's a
trick
long
right
vision,
now.
that one.
Yeah. Because who would want to buy airspace above a mangrove?
Yeah, toxic mango. Yeah.
But
What's it worth?
Yeah, but there are all these unintended benefits that we've seen. As you said, the pokies have been shut down. That's got to be a good thing as far as Tim Freedman is concerned. Don't get me started on the Whitlams.
Yeah.
But Ray Warren, and I mean this is a down for me, is that this was probably Ray's victory lap this year because he calls about 7 games a year.
That is very sad, Chris.
Right, and we're not getting to hear Ray Warren, and we may not hear him again. I mean, they ran a piece about Chris Lawrence retiring. What about a piece about Rabbits retiring?
Yeah. This may be the deal breaker for him.
Yeah, but the man retains a sense of humour because he was interviewed about how he was coping with the crisis, and he said he thought that the old person's supermarket run was at 7 p.m, not 7 a.m.
Because he's a party hound, right? He stays up all night.
I'm asleep at 7 a.m. You won't get me to the shops at that time. And the idea of dropping down to your local Romeo's IGA and hoping to bump into Rabbits at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Not going to happen.
Think again.
Yeah.
Is Wayne Bennett there?
And
That's one of the benefits of getting old, surely.
Well, you heard that. You heard that Adam Reynolds suggested that Wayne could do the run and buy all the staples for everyone. Yeah.
He's a card, that bloke. Oh, dear. Dear.
Sam Burgess, who, I don't know if you caught him on NRL 360, sorry, on Matty John's show, which will be the next show
Where
to
does he
shut
record
down.
that, did you say?
They go into Fox.
They go into Fox.
Yeah, Gordon Tallis was up in Queensland on the Monitor. But it's Sam and Nathan Highmarsh and Fletch and Matty.
Off tube.
Off tube.
Hey,
That's right.
Dennis. We learn something new every day.
But Sam Burgess was asked if you could only save one person, who would it be, Russell Crowe or Wayne?
What did he say?
Wayne.
Wayne.
Wow.
And then Matty John says, Wayne might be getting near the end. But anyway,
Yeah.
but rugby league is in such a parlous state that other sports are now riffing off its atrocities. So
No.
we all remember Craig Gower and his golf buggy incident. But Stephen, can you take us through what's happened with an A-League star?
Yeah, and this is the disappointing side to it, right?
It really is disappointing.
We should have those things copyrighted and
They're ours.
Yeah, wrapped up, patent pending, the whole bit. You know, atrocities are ours. Rugby league. We've got the T-shirt. We've got the mug to prove it. Right. We've got the Hall of Shame at Moore Park. I mean, what better claim to these activities? But no, they've been told to behave. Even more so.
And are they erecting a plaque around the corner to Curtis Scott where
Oh, God, yeah.
where he got
You know, if you go to
tasered
New York, there's the Imagine
off camera?
Garden. You know?
Curtis Scott was tasered not off tube.
I think what
it was
what they
off
should do,
camera.
Yeah.
They'll put a picture. They'll have a little statue of Curtis being tasered.
Yeah. And wrestled for nine police, or was it 12 police, and handcuffed, shirtless.
Talk about piling on.
Because he got on the sauce one night.
For Australia Day.
Hello, Australia Day.
It's unpatriotic not to get pissed.
Hello.
What's
I'm going
going
to have
on?
a lie down on the grass near NRL headquarters. As I said, like Strawberry Fields in New York City, it's now a pilgrimage to go to worship at the Curtis Scott Garden there. They've got a little picket fence, you know. I don't know what sort of plant they're going to grow there, or flower. What would you think, a petunia or what? What's the flower of ACT?
Yeah, what goes well down well on ACT?
Oh, you've got me. Oh, no.
They have Floriana.
What
I know
else?
that.
Yeah, what's those trees that are everywhere? Those bloody gravy trees that line the roads when you go.
No,
pine trees, aren't
they've
they?
chopped them all down
Oh, they?
for the light rail.
Remembrance Drive.
It was just
they
string
go all the way
barks.
to the snow.
Yeah,
You know,
those trees were our fallen soldiers. Well,
Yeah.
not anymore.
all the poplars.
But speaking of,
Yeah.
you're referencing, of course, the Lennon shooting.
Yes.
And there was an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and Jerry Seinfeld was the comedian who I don't recall the name of. And they drove past the Dakota building, and Seinfeld says something along the lines of, someone goes to Yoko Ono, I mean, why do you still live here? You know, your husband was shot here. She goes, well, that's true, but the view I have of Central Park is
Fantastic.
just
As I accrue my many millions. Look, A-League, of all the bloody codes to rip out some adventure, Chris.
the last sporting code team space to shut down in Australia.
The last one.
Well, they actually decided to shut down on the Saturday, but they got wind of the AFL announcing on Sunday and Rugby League on the Monday, so no one would have noticed. So they had to wait till the Tuesday.
Wait till Tuesday,
That's
fair
right.
enough too, yeah. We all noticed this though, Chris. A shirtless A-League star is accused of breaking his coronavirus quarantine, getting drunk and taking a joyride in a golf cart at 1 a.m. in the morning. Now, this is beautiful stuff. We all remember Craig Gower going nuts, and I
Yes.
think was he chasing a girl, or was he...
Yeah.
It's
It was pretty unseemly. It was at a Bucks.
a long time ago, but yeah. It was, and they were on site already at the golf course. This wasn't on the golf course.
No. It was on the.
He was at apparently they were isolated at the Sydney Academy of Sports in Narrabeen, down near the lakes, which is exact. Can I give you a story? I met Gough Whitlam down there.
Is that right?
Yes, when Gough was doing his pit stop, running around garnishing votes or whatever. Bob Hawke was the sausage turner, and it was a Labor Party come and meet Gough. So we were kids. We went down there. Look at the big man. I love him. He's great. So we met Gough at this very sacred space.
And this was for Hawkey.
For Hawke. Well, Hawkey was the host.
Right.
It was for Gough to be
for
elected.
Gough?
Yeah, back in the 70s.
This wasn't a fundraiser for Des to get more
It
facilities.
wasn't even a fundraiser. It was
the
just to
Narrabeen.
rally the troops. Let's have some fun.
Chairs.
A couple of sausages, for Gough.
It wasn't to get chairs for Trent Barrett.
Well, he likes to get shirtless and pantless.
Yes,
As
he
did
does.
Alfie Langer and do some push-ups, didn't he? Yeah. So, I mean, nothing's new
And
here,
dance
right?
on the bar.
Dance on the bar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, okay. Sydney Academy of Sport and Narrabeen, 2 weeks they were sequestered, as they say, or isolated. Now, the Wellington Phoenix star Tim Payne was arrested for allegedly driving a golf cart while drunk and shirtless on the Wakehurst Parkway. Now, that's a pretty narrow parkway.
Now,
People
look,
zip down there at night at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Just one thing there. So this is the A-League.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was still going. So it has been going.
It's been going.
It has been, okay. So,
Stopped on Tuesday.
And so the poor old cricketers, they've had to stop as well.
Yes.
And so Timmy Payne, the Australian captain, is in
Yeah,
A-League? Is
that's
that
right.
is that what's
He's-
happening? He's
he's-
playing for New
he's-
Zealand.
Phoenix.
Can I just say that Tim Payne
Tough
is...
times for Timmy Payne.
Yes, tough times.
Can I just say that...
Is he the
Tough
keeper?
time, Timmy.
He's the keeper, is he?
He is.
Because he's got the hands,
Yeah.
you'd think.
Have you not
No, no,
seen
no.
the test, the series? We'll talk
No,
about
I
that
mean
in a
Timmy
minute.
Payne. I mean the A-League player Tim Payne.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the same Tim Payne?
I think it is.
And is he the glove man?
No, the glove man who was in the buggy with him was... You know how they always say, appropriately named?
Yeah.
Like you know...
Like Wynn Stadium,
Yeah, right,
which is
exactly.
kind of the opposite.
This doesn't work at all. The goalkeeper's name was Oliver Sale. So S-A-I-L.
Mate, they were sailing down Wakehurst Parkway. They rode it all the way to the top. So if you come out of the Narrabeen, you're on the Wakehurst Parkway automatically. To the right is Narrabeen. Up the top of the hill is the new hospital.
Yeah.
They rode all the way to the top, flying down. All of a sudden, going, go faster, faster.
20 kilometres now. Tim Payne is
Were they wearing top hats? I'm picturing.
I think so.
They should have had skateboards, top hats, shirtless.
I think so.
Hello.
Yeah,
Joey
Johns.
No, Tim Payne is the Elise Perry of Australian sport.
So one
men's
would
sport.
assume that there's no security guard at the Narrabeen Sports Centre, the academy, at 1 a.m. in the morning, standing ready to watch in case they escape.
So they were sequestered, but they weren't secure.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Chris, exactly. And it says here, passing motorists on the busy roadway call the police who stopped the pair near Oxford Falls Road. So they really got a distance out.
I always feel with the drunken golf cart thing is it's when you're pissed, it seems like a great idea. You know what? We'll commandeer a golf cart. We'll go crazy, and then you put the metal to the
pedal to
floor,
the metal.
pedal to the metal.
Doesn't go anywhere.
10 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
It must lose its luster fairly quickly, which is why I guess they were trying to
Yeah.
find a hill. I guess.
You know what they're probably trying to get into the city and race a tram, because then you'd feel like you're flying.
Yeah. And you see Bill Murray. Just like that. And Gophers. You know, the whole thing. Chevy Chase.
Puxatawny Phil.
Yeah, well, that's a great story. Chris, anything else happening in the world off field at the moment, off paddock?
No, I think we're going to have a break, Stephen.
Let's have a break. We're running out of stories. It's sad and tragic, isn't it?
Here's Ferris. Needs to give it. Decides not to. Is he going to get a second Ferris? There's no stopping Stephen Ferris. Can you put a price on this fella? Dodgy knee or no dodgy knee? He is immense.
Now, I've got another idea, Chris.
Yes?
Nana Glen. They should all hole up at Nana Glen. It's got a church, it's got a pool, it's got a tennis court. Just put them all there in tents, like Tent City.
Well, we explored this previously,
That's
Stephen.
a
Beautiful.
prize property. What do
Yeah,
you
I know,
think?
that'd be beautiful.
He's got to suffer or pay a price.
He'd love it.
He'd love it.
He'd love it.
We
Over-
Are you not entertained?
I'm
he'd
the
be
Pope
saying.
of rugby league. Yeah.
He's the new Pope.
We explored this previously that Russell Crowe had come up with the idea to take the game bush, but not
not
my
his bush.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not there. What about this? I just thought about it. The Lord Vlandis.
Lord Vlandis.
He's got two jobs. They are NRL
Racing.
chairman, commissioner, chairman,
Chairman of the
Chairman
board.
of the
Chairman
Australian
of the
Rugby League Commission. Stephen.
and the head of New South Wales Racing. What about Randwick Racecourse? If it's good enough for the actual Pope, why is it not good enough for rugby league? Tent City on Randwick Racecourse.
That's a great idea.
Play a game there.
And keep the horses going. This is
Keep the horses going
This is
around.
Volandi's dream.
Hello.
We've talked about this when he was first appointed. He wanted to fuse the two sports.
Exactly.
Now he's got an opportunity. Shut down rugby league. The horses are going, and he just seed them in. Like you go to Randwick, just play the games in the middle of the
Yeah.
enclosures.
So if you're watching,
It's a punter's dream as well.
and
You
you're
sit
watching the
there and
racing, you've got the action, the footy behind you as well.
You get
How good's
people
that? One camera.
You get people lined up 1.5 metres apart across the Harbour Bridge, watching the whole thing live on the sails of the Opera House.
Yes.
On one sail you've got rugby
Yes.
league, the other sail you've got the races.
And
Come on,
then
it's
two
perfect.
pylons as well, the bridge.
And the two pylons.
Mirror images.
And each of the other sails
Little
would
bit
have
like
the
you
odds.
on your camera there.
Would have the odds.
Same
going.
fee, one ground. Beautiful.
You know what they could do? And I think this is part of the conspiracy. What Rugby League could do, they've got this great property, NRL Digital.
Yes.
$50 million to $1 billion.
One of those.
Ditch Rupert. Ditch him. Broadcast it themselves. I reckon that's Volandis' cure. And he could just put up a couple of webcams like this and just put them up on the at Randwick
Whole game live
Racecourse.
from
The whole
Randwick.
thing and the
Perfect.
races live, cut
Perfect.
costs.
Perfect.
We're in agreement that desperate measures are needed right now. And as a youngster, you would remember that they used to have footy days, Saturday, and you'd have 8 games all playing at once.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, and you go round the grounds, and when it meant something.
There you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate how they do things now. We're going around the grounds, but they're just calling like regional football scores and things like that. Is there anyone's interested?
And also when they say we're going around the grounds and they just read it out.
Yeah.
They don't actually go to shooter at the park. They
That's
don't
right.
actually,
No, bullshit.
Who are some of the good ones? The guy at Wollongong.
Oh, that guy.
Steve Mascord.
There was the Parramatta
Walters.
hooker. Oh, it'll come to
Steve
me.
Edge.
No,
Edgy.
No,
Edgy was a Parramatta hooker.
He was at the game
Parramatta
last Sunday week.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
At the Parramatta game or the Dragons game? Because isn't he
Dragons
the only
game.
person to captain 2 teams to a premiership?
Wollongong, did he?
Yeah.
I met Steve Edge. He's a diamond geezer.
He's a diamond.
Great guy.
Really good guy. Now, we thought we'd run out of things to talk about, but we haven't.
No.
We've had some feedback from the listeners to Fire Up and Fire Up's Quite Australia.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Michael, before it all went down, said, imagine if there were 2 off-seasons. Well, we've got one right now. Troy Maguire.
That means we get 2 Mad Mondays.
That's right. Everything's doubled up. We're not going to lack...
Isolation Mad Monday.
Particularly as Tim Payne has thrown down the gauntlet and said, like, we've gone crazy on the golf buggies. If these NRL players in seclusion are not going to play up deluxe
Yeah,
now,
they're going to explode.
Yeah.
They're going to go nuts at some point.
Troy Maguire talking about how important the grounds were to him was each ground is a place of refuge and respite from these troubled times where people can go to be comforted by the wise words of Bennett, Bellamy and Hasler. This is before they shut the grounds down.
What are they delivering speeches?
All under the guidance of Gus Gould, the world will spread faster than COVID-20 of the healing powers of these great men. Well, that one thing we haven't touched on is Gus has been on Twitter this week, and he's had a bit to say, hasn't he, Steve?
Mate, you may have... You know Matthew Mitchum.
Yes.
Triple pipe with a twist.
Yep.
Yeah. Gus has done that in the space of 2 weeks or a week and a half. Comes out and says, no one's talking about climate change anymore. And it sounds familiar, that tone, doesn't it? Whatever happened to last year's tragedy or last week's, disaster. And really, it's a bug, whatever. Don't worry about it. That sort of thing.
He's been pilloried, hasn't he?
He has.
And
I assume he has done the
The
Mitchum.
about face.
He's done the Mitchum.
He's done the Mitchum.
How many... Because I noticed on this morning's show...
It's a fair turn.
Chris, you said you'd turn 360. That means you're facing the same
No,
way.
180. I should have said 180.
You said 360. So I want to know, did he turn 360 or has he turned 180,
well, I meant
Chris?
180.
There's a lot of movement in between, too.
Seriously, the worst thing about Dennis not being here in the studio is he just points out all the mistakes that you've made.
There's been so many.
How loose we've
I've
been
been
with science.
outraged listening to the podcast going,
Oh, no.
you're
Correct
asking
that
us-
one. Rub that one out. Yeah.
A virus is not a single-celled organism. It's not. It's smaller, Stephen.
I know
It's
that.
Smaller.
I know that.
But you didn't tell
I
the
did
people
some
on the
research since
podcast.
then.
But did you agree with
It's
Kenny's
not even
theory?
an organism. Did you know that?
It's not. It's a debate whether they're even alive.
And it's also a debate as to that's the start of existence as we know it.
Yes.
The first bit of...
It's a bit of RNA surrounded by fat,
And
which is why a bit of soap
Isn't
or
RNA
alcohol
or
fixes it
DNA?
up. No, it's RNA.
Ah, well, we have to clarify that one.
A DNA is your double helix.
I know, but I heard it could be
RNA is a
single or
helix.
double.
No, that's RNA. RNA is
No, I
single.
know that.
DNA
But I thought a virus could be either single and or double.
This one's only single.
Let's look into that. Yes, I did look up virus, not coronavirus. Not the novel one.
But did you agree with the theory we reventilated this morning from Kenny that AFL is a virus?
Well, it has been spreading, and and it's not just Kenty. In the words of the great Alan Jones, the great prophet, it's a what did he say? It's a scourge. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy when there's 4 posts at the end of Main Oval at a private school.
Yeah, I know.
I can only but agree with that.
Travesty.
Yeah.
But 3D Habitat tweeted us, and 3D Habitat might be suspiciously like Terry Bull, who is responsible for our beautiful design at the moment. And you can get us on Twitter at FireUpNRL. We've actually taken control of the Fire Up name. Brett Oaten has been renamed Toey Human and continues to have...
He drove a hard bargain, though,
And
didn't he?
he does.
Lots of cash was passed.
And he continues to have thousands more followers than we do. And you can get us on Facebook at Fire
He's
Up
had a
Rugby
run-up,
League.
though, Chris.
That's true. And at Fire Up Rugby League on Instagram. But 3D Habitat said, I look forward to the next life and times of Gus Gould. I didn't know he is both climate scientist and immunologist. Maybe if he didn't say much about those areas, he would know more about rugby league. Now, that's harsh, isn't it?
Very harsh, yes. Well, you know, multitasking, men. There's only so many places you can tend your brain to. Even Gus, the mighty Gus.
And now, next time, I'm going to have to come back and try and recall who they used to cut to and around the grounds down at Illawarra and so forth, because it will occur to me. I've got
drive you spare, Chris.
I've got a number of errata to address from last week's episode, Stephen, to make you happy.
Thank you.
Dennis. First of all, I've viewed the video. I put my hand on my face way too often. All right, so I'm trying to adjust that behaviour in these social distancing times. Sheryl Crow was the singer for Michael Jackson, but Sheryl Crow was the singer on the 87 Michael Jackson tour,
but not the tour.
But the guitarist with the blonde wig,
Oriente.
Her name was Jennifer Batten on that tour. Because
really?
Yes, Oriente was going to do This Is It until
Can we
Jackson
keep him
dropped off the
away
perch.
from his encyclopedias, please?
He is the
The
encyclopedia.
parrot, believe it or not, and I prefer our vision that he actually is broadcasting live from the bubble bath in the toaster.
We were wrong.
He's up in Sutton Forest.
Southern, yeah. Is that where the mass murderer, serial
No, it
killer?
was Belanglo, which is
Belanglo.
next
Close
door.
though,
It's
isn't it?
next door, yeah.
Yes, very close.
Brian Surtees was the guy who covered the beat down at Wynn Stadium when Illawarra was playing.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, older gentleman, often sounded like he was drunk.
Never heard of him.
He was the guy. I'll come to Surtees in a moment. Another butler has hit the road, unfortunately, for Jones. Another victim, probably after our podcast.
He goes through them quickly, doesn't he?
The metal festival whose name I couldn't remember was Soundwave.
Oh, of course,
Right.
yes, that's the big one.
But you did don the Brutus, the Bulldog mascot. Is that correct, Dennis?
Yes.
Yes. Who's the female mascot? What's the name?
Bella.
Bella.
Brutus
and Bella.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast.
I should also point out that when I was in, there was none of this somersaults and dance routine rubbish when I was in Brutus. It was just clumsy, galumphing along.
You didn't try to mount her.
Didn't try to mount her. No.
That would be funny, though, wouldn't it? I know it's an oldie, but it's a goldie.
You might lose your job. You might lose your job.
Soundwave was where I saw Richie Sambora and Orient.
What do dogs do? Hello? That's not funny. Are we locked up in a room with no oxygen or what?
Actually, what you've
The other
done...
one we see is how flexible is Brutus? Can he get down and do what male dogs like to do?
And let's play dog. Who let the dogs out? Wouldn't that be great?
So many things are occurring to me. I have a friend who was the Roosters mascot, and he was talking to the opposition player lining up the goal kick. And that was if you remember, the Roosters mascot was like the strap-on chook mask and the tail. It wasn't very elaborate.
Yep.
And he was trying to put off the opposition who was lining up a goal kick from the sideline. And Kevin Roberts, the referee, intervened and told him to go away. And he pecked Kevin Roberts and received a...
Sterlo says it's time to finish.
Yep.
All right.
He received a 1-year ban from the Roosters all up.
Mr. Summers. Sterlo says, what have you been doing with all this time on your hands?
Again, another body you wouldn't expect the voice to come out of.
No. Let's see if we can balance the little bugger. Whoa. So, Chris, what have you been up to? What have you been watching, Dennis?
Come over here.
Well, the good news is, by the way, that the mascot sponsor, he sponsors... We're out of control here. He sponsors 7 rugby league mascots. Sarah Strata is continuing to sponsor the mascots, even though the game's not going ahead.
Good on them.
So that is good news.
So are the mascots dressing up? Are the mascots
They just have a
getting out and
picnic every
earning
day.
their...
They got
to practice.
They practice their
to
racing.
stay sharp, Dennis.
They
Yeah,
practice
stay
for the
sharp.
racing.
Like
Yep.
the rugby league players, they need a month, but mascots need longer.
Yeah, they've got to stay sharp.
Got to warm up.
I've been watching the English game, which is a bit sort of toffee-ish. You know, it's about the beginnings
This is about
of
Northern
soccer
Union?
or football in
soccer.
Eton. Soccer, yeah. It's a series on Netflix. It's quite.
Do they talk about that? Because do they call it soccer?
No.
Because it was an Eton thing
call
to
it
call it soccer.
No,
It was
well, at that
association
point,
football. They've censored it. The English have censored
haven't
it.
finished
It was
the whole thing
called at the start. It was called soccer to differentiate it from the other codes.
It's a classic class.
Soccer. That's where it came from.
Oh, there you go.
And we're both watching the test.
The test, yeah.
I will be watching the test.
Loving that one.
To me...
Smudger.
To me, I watched the last episode of season 10 of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Wow.
Which people were saying, it's Jump the Shark. They're completely wrong. It's absolutely magnificent.
Jump the Shark,
Without giving away the end, the story arc is a protagonist from a former series, Mocha Joe, the coffee guy. Larry has an issue with Mocha Joe, and there's a vacant store next to him. So he sets up Latte Larry's. And it's a spite store. He goes, yes.
Spite?
I've set this store up out of spite.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yes.
The awkwardness of spite?
And I think that gives us hope when a lot of these businesses that have lived in the moment, rugby league, the arts, catering businesses, restaurants, etc., pubs, that they can be driven by spite when they reignite
I would have said
their businesses.
revenge and vengeance is one of the great drivers in most film scripts. You know, we look at Mad Max, etc. You know, there's dozens and dozens of them. But the 11th, Gough Whitlam. I mean, the revenge you want to inflict
Very
upon
good series. I'm in the
Fraser
middle
and
of it.
Kerr on that bloody series on the ABC is incredible.
Yeah.
But you're suggesting that rugby league comes back driven by spite. I'd say what this is that all other things in the world are now going to... Rugby league's always been driven by spite.
Always.
That's
Hate.
so it's being stolen.
Yeah.
It's being stolen.
The
A-League's stealing it.
We are an ideas generator.
Coffee shops are starting to steal
We, I
spite.
say we.
The irony of this, well, look at what you did for Bossy. You're just continually feeding him material. The irony of this is...
Not to mention playing Glenn Campbell at the grand final, Chris. Come on.
What a great moment.
Take a bow.
What a great moment. Macho Man.
Macho Man.
Doug Parkinson.
Didn't that go down well? Doug
Rooster
Parkinson.
Man.
Rooster.
That our economy, it will be the hairdressers who, ironically, are still open, but they will be front and centre. They will just continuously play that audio and vision of ScoMo, essentially misunderstanding and denigrating their proud industry, and every other Australian industry will fall into line. And out of spite for the way we've been treated,
Wasn't that fun?
we'll drive it forward.
One of the funniest highlights was when they cut all these hairdresser owners together in a montage last night in the news defending their industry. It was quite funny to watch. They're an interesting breed.
Dennis, how are you passing your time?
I'm tidying up the shed.
Oh, no, you are. Good on you.
I'm tidying up the shed. I'm disinfecting a few things. I'm chucking some
Putting
stuff
your
out.
cords, wrapping your cords up.
Oh no, they're already wrapped
Yeah,
up.
right.
No, that
They
stuff's
come
all
back
that
that
stuff's
way.
all in line. That stuff's all.
So we're gonna
all
keep
good.
doing
But
this?
I'll tell you what else I've been
yes?
doing is playing a bit of Destiny on the Xbox.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's it for you.
Yeah,
Brain porridge gone cold.
Oh, problem is I've finished it now. I'm just doing bonus rounds.
So
Clive-
what was your destiny in there?
Oh, I just killed all the aliens.
Okay.
Well, we know that we are. You talk about we're only in the prequel or whatever. We know that we're just the entree for Starship Troopers. The real bugs are going to descend upon us. Now we're going to continue to do this. We may or may not be in the Batuta Studios or the Budgie Smuggler Studios next
Keep
week.
watching this space, eh?
Yeah.
By accidentally planning, because we've got this one camera here, which is filming you two, and there's this one here, which is filming me. The plan, well, I've accidentally placed it on camera here. We could do this going forward with you guys, with us in remote, completely remote.
We'll look forward to all of that, and I think I made less mistakes, so I won't overrun in apologising and whatever. But we want to keep the fan interaction going.
Unless Gladys calls full lockdown for only essential items. I don't know if she'd consider this essential.
No, I think we know the answer to
But
that.
we can
Yeah.
do this from home. That's what I'm saying. We
We'll
can
do
set
it
it up
from
like this
home.
and do it from home.
And we want to.
Sterlo will have to. Where's he going to go?
We want to get the fan interaction
He
on
wants to open some bottles of beer. That's what he wants to do.
Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we might even, once we get the remote thing down, we might even try and pursue a few guests. So if anyone's out there, let's go for it.
Yeah.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.